can you tell when someone hasn't been listening to a single word you just said? One sure way is they make a comment which doesn't relate. It's non sequitur. Today's Bible lesson is about a non sequitur. A Pharisee invited him, Jesus, to eat with him. So he went in and reclined at the table. But the Pharisee, noticing that Jesus did not first wash before the meal, was surprised. To which surprise Jesus, with his words, began whacking a hornet's nest. Then Jesus said to them, "Now then, you Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you give God a tenth of your mint, rue, and all other kinds of garden herbs, but you neglect justice and the love of God. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you love the most important seats in the synagogues and greetings in the marketplaces. Woe to you, because you are like unmarked graves, which men walk over without knowing it." One of the experts in the law, a scribe, answered him, "Teacher, when you say these things, you insult us also." Jesus replied, "And you experts in the law? Woe to you, because you load people down with burdens they can hardly carry, and you yourselves will not lift one finger to help them. Woe to you, because you build tombs for the prophets, and it was your forefathers who killed them. So you testify that you approve of what your forefathers did. They killed the prophets, and you build their tombs. Woe to you, experts in the law, because you have taken away the key to knowledge. You yourselves have not entered, and you have hindered those who were entering." When Jesus left there, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, the scribes, began to oppose him fiercely and to besiege him with questions, waiting to catch him in something he might say. Jesus then switched from whacking the scribes and Pharisees to warning his disciples, warning them about the scribes and Pharisees. They were now buzzing mad, ready to swarm in and fatally sting. "I tell you, my friends, do not be afraid of those," scribes and Pharisees, "who kill the body and after that can do no more. But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after killing the body, has the power to throw you into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. I tell you, whoever is not afraid to acknowledge me before men, the Son of Man will also acknowledge him before the angels of God. But whoever is afraid and disowns me before men will be disowned before the angels of God." That's the whacking and warning, life and death, courage and fear what that Jesus had just been saying. And now for the non sequitur. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, the disciples, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed." Greed, the thing Jesus said earlier to a Pharisee that makes them dirty on the inside. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. Greed here is a strong desire to acquire more and more material possessions, or to possess more things than other people have, all irrespective of need. Jesus wasn't finished yet, making his greed point in answer to the non sequitur regarding his whacking and warning, life and death, courage and fear what that he'd been talking about. He told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, You have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. And who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich toward God." So what biblical point does this non sequitur bring out for us? When it comes to the Bible, make sure that you aren't one who hasn't been listening to what Jesus has just been saying. What he has been saying about life and death. Life and death, because spiritually speaking, he has whacked the proverbial hornet's nest, bringing on a swarm and their fatal stings. Scribes and Pharisees aren't limited to just back then. Their types exist today. Religiously, they are on the offensive, swarming, ready to attack any of Jesus' followers. They do bring legitimate fear. You'll experience it when you begin to consider speaking publicly about Jesus. Maybe not a life and death fear, not yet, because of the part of the world you currently live in, but you'll feel fear just the same. And when you do, take courage. Speak up. Because you know who's got your back.